I find cooking to be quite a lot of fun, and there are loads of games out there that have cooking mechanics. From The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild and the last couple of generations of Pokemon, to more cooking-focused games like Overcooked and Cooking Mama. The latter is an adorable little franchise and what we're talking about today. The Switch got a Cooking Mama game a few years back loaded with drama and controversy. I've owned it for years and it's finally time to dive in and talk about it. Here is my review of Cooking Mama Cookstar for the Nintendo Switch. There's not really a story here, so let's get caught up on the history of this game. Most people that talk about Cookstar aren't talking about the game itself, but the controversy and drama behind it. The short of it is that Office Creates, the Cooking Mama license holder, felt Cookstar did not meet quality standards, and the developers went against their wishes and not only released it, but also released a PlayStation 4 version they were not allowed to make. A lawsuit ensued, and the game was pulled from shelves in digital stores. Not to mention the fact that rumors spread fast that the game apparently had crypto mining software built into it, though that rumor was debunked. But despite being pulled from stores, you can still buy physical copies on both Switch and PS4 on the likes of Amazon and eBay. Now that you know its history, let's dive right in. When it comes to gameplay, this is a cooking simulation game filled with minigames. As you play through it, you cook various dishes of food, doing touch or button-based inputs to fulfill each step of the process. Whether that be cracking eggs into a mixing bowl or air frying a bundle of French fried potatoes. When you get to the main menu, you have three main modes of play. You have traditional and vegetarian recipes and potluck. Traditional and vegetarian are the main recipes and dishes you can make as you play through the game. Think of it like the closest thing this game has to a campaign, with potluck as a local multiplayer mode with small little mini-games you can play with another person. You'll find early on that this game is fairly simple. Some Cooking Mama games have other mini-games to mix things up from just cooking, and this game does not have anything like that. You cook, unlock new recipes, you cook again, repeat the process. The only other thing you can do here is customizing Mama and the kitchen with different cosmetics for her clothing and different colors of various appliances that you use when you cook. When you go into the actual recipes, the gameplay isn't that different from previous entries. You select what recipe you want to make and you'll have several different steps to complete it. Each of these steps is a timed minigame where Mama will help direct you on how to make the dish. Tossing ingredients into a blender when it's on low speed, cracking eggs, cutting bread, using appliances like an air fryer or toaster oven, or even using food coloring to make the rainbow of rainbow grilled cheese. Something that I didn't think was actually real when I first played this game, but it is. The way you do this is similar but also different from previous games of the series. While the DS and 3DS Cooking Mama games had you using the touchscreen to cook, this game is all centered around the Switch Joy-Con's motion controls. Grating cheese has you moving the Joy-Con to the left and right, spinning to stir ingredients in a mixing bowl, or constantly moving up and down to use a can opener. In theory, this is a really neat idea, but in practice, there's a problem as many of these motion gestures don't work very well. From the get-go, I had issues grating cheese as the Joy-Con would go from not registering the movements at all to doing it far too fast, the game telling me I needed to slow down. There were many others that also gave me issues, but not always. Spinning a meat grinder would work perfectly for me on one recipe and would only register about half the time on another. It's a bit strange, especially when you have the same minigame work and then later not work. On the plus side, you can fully disable motion controls to use the Switch's physical buttons like it has you do in handheld mode. Despite the game forcing you to only connect a single Joy-Con when it's booted up in docked mode, you can go into settings and it'll let you use anything, Joy-Cons, Pro Controllers, etc. As you'd expect, the button controls are much more consistent and a much better experience. Some of them can't be used quite as rapid quick as motion, like all the cuts you have to do when chopping green onions, but overall, it is a much more consistent experience. And now that we know how to do all these steps, once you finish a recipe, you get to put everything together and effectively be an Instagram foodie. You set up backgrounds, filters, and can post it to social media, both in-game with the results screen of people reacting to each step you did, and real social media, letting you take a screenshot of your finished meal and post it on Facebook. You probably could have posted it to Twitter as well when this game first launched, back before that sharing feature was taken away from the Switch not too long ago. I think this whole process is really neat, and I find the entire game beyond adorable. The way Mama will talk to you is incredibly endearing and entertaining. Her praising you with her "better than Mama" is really cute, and even when you screw up, hearing her say "it's not too late to order takeout" had me laughing every time I heard it. But there is one other issue with the game. Well, actually, it might not be an issue for you depending on what kind of person is playing the game. To say Cookstar holds your hand is an understatement. I would guess that this game was not made for adults or teenagers or even preteens. I think this game was made for people just starting video games around ages 4, 5, or 6. That's because you're going to get the same results and unlocks whether you ace a dish or miserably fail. Each time you fail, Mama will tell you that it's okay and that you can do it, and the failures do not show up in the finished meal. If you burn your rice to a black crisp, it'll look pristine and white when you get finished. You will unlock cosmetic items and new recipes when you complete one, whether you do well or not. Actually, whether or not you do anything at all. To test around with this, I let minigames run their timers with my controller sat down on my desk, and it still let me complete a recipe and unlock more, for doing literally nothing. The previous games were not like this, giving you a failed dish result and offering to let you redo steps instead of just ignoring your failures and letting you complete it anyways. Now, if you're giving this game to a very young gamer, I don't think it'll matter all that much, but from a gameplay angle, it's weird to just have it give you zero consequences for failing or not even trying to do things right at all, especially when previous games did not hold your hand like this. As all of this gameplay stuff comes together, let's talk about content and length. Despite this game not really changing or adding anything outside of having vegetarian and vegan dishes to go through, it does feature a lot of content. You'll be able to unlock upward of 100 different recipes to go into and make. That's a lot more than I expected, even if some of the vegetarian recipes are just vegetarian versions of the normal ones. But they did at least make things look more vegetarian, like the black bean burger actually looking like a bean burger and not a beef one. And as far as playtime goes, with the better part of 100 recipes to go through, the game will easily last you at least 6 to 10 hours. Next up is presentation, which I think looks fine. It's pretty basic in visual design, but I think it looks fine for what it is. The Cooking Mama series hasn't exactly been known for blowing your mind away with visuals, and it kind of fits the cute, chibi style the series has always had. The only thing I'll say is about the voice acting for Mama herself. It is very non-English speaker doing her best to speak English. And you know why? Because it is. The original voice actor for Mama, Yoko Nishino, did the voice work for this game. It might not be super clear English, but it's always been awkwardly cute in past games, and as I said in the gameplay section, I find it to be very entertaining and cute to hear her say things like "Mama is impressed," even if it isn't perfectly fluent. With performance, I have nothing to complain about. The frame rate is nice and buttery smooth from start to finish. I don't think it's always at 60 FPS, but I never had issues with the minigames. Next up is battery life. Cookstar gives the original and light models a battery range of about 3 to 4 hours, while the V2 and OLED models get 5.5 to 7 hours. In conclusion, Cooking Mama's Switch outing comes with a lot of controversy and drama, but is an adorable little cooking game. Now on the downside, most of the motion controls don't work very well, it doesn't add much to the formula, and is a bit too handholdy, clearly meant for very young kids. But if you're okay with button controls and more basic gameplay, or want to use this as an entry point for your kids to get into video games in general, there are a lot of recipes for you to dive into and try. Reviews to Go rates Cooking Mama Cookstar for the Nintendo Switch a 6.5 out of 10. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to leave them below. Thank you for watching, and have a great day.